Good evening, Trinidad and Tobago family. We have Dr. Kirk Meighoo UNC PRO back with us again, and he's going to give us a little update on what's taking place within the country. Dr. Meighoo.
Hi, good afternoon. It's a good afternoon to your viewers, your listeners. I just want to give you a little update. The Prime Minister has, in reviewing the portfolios of persons, she has reassigned responsibilities, taken some more things under her belt, and redistributed some of the items as we keep reviewing performance, because this government has achieved so much in the 5 6 months it's been in office so far, in terms of crime, in terms crime reduction, in terms of energy security, in terms of education, in terms of health, in terms of social development. It's been incredible. And as the government keeps self-assessing and looking at how we can always improve, she's made um, a realignment of responsibilities, and she will address that shortly to give more details. But that's just an alert there. But I do think that it's very important to note the decrease in the crime. It's historic, it is unprecedented. We have never had this fast and this great a decrease in our history. Um, Last year at this time, up to yesterday's murder rate, it's been 274, whereas last year at this time, it was 475. So that is 201 lives saved this year, which is incredible. It's a reduction of over 42%, 42.3% is what it is. That's incredible. We've never had that kind of reduction before. Even when we had a full lockdown in 2020 and people were under curfew and had to stay home, you didn't have a reduction like this. It was 140 lives saved for the whole year. We've exceeded that in the 6 months that we've been in office, in fact. A lot of people are saying, oh, well, the PNM had a state of emergency at the beginning of the year, and you're taking credit for that. It's not that we're taking credit for it. We're just talking about for the year. But if you want to be totally political and just look at it from April 29th, the fact is that it's even greater. For that period, April 29th to 4th of October, last year, there were 295 murders, and this year, there were 147. So that's a reduction of over 50%. So we've brought it down by more than half in 1 year, in less than a year. That is incredible. That is incredible. And we just hope we can continue this momentum. The fact that this commissioner of police was chosen purely on the recommendation of merit of the Police Service Commission is an extremely important thing, because the PNM kept interfering in the process. When Gary Griffith was number one, Rowley went to the president and made her withdraw the list, and had Bliss C. Prasad withdraw the list from the president. Then later on, after that, when he appointed Erla, they took her not from she wasn't the top. I can't remember the exact date. I think she was 18th, and then they put her on top. And then remember what happened in the state of emergency. Not only was Randall Hector killed on the first day, and that's an unsolved murder. Then Rowley attempted a coup. He resigned, tried to put Stuart Young in place. There was all kind of bacchanal in the PNM. Then they finally put in Stuart. And then at the same time, then just soon after, then the police arrested Erla. They arrested the commissioner of police. Instead of arresting criminals, they arrested the commissioner of police. And then she was let go, but they installed someone new, and she wasn't allowed to come back after. It was like two coups: a coup in the government, a coup. That's the way the PNM handled the state of emergency. But but then we had elections, and now that we're in government, we've been continuing that path even further. This is an incredible achievement, and it's one that needs to be known widely. The media, I don't know why they're not talking about this, why they're not having analysis, why this isn't, huge news. Investors need to know about this. Tourists need to know about this. The embassies with their alerts for travelers, their travel alerts, they need to know about this because this is absolutely important. And then the coming back from the United Nations General Assembly with the OFAC agreement discussions with Marco Rubio. That's very important that the Dragon Gas and Exxon coming in. So we have that two-prong approach there, as well as um, uh, proceeding with Suriname, Guyana, Grenada. Things are really, really moving very, very well. So I think more people should be aware of this, should be spreading it, and should let people know because the opposition is, they're quite mad on social media. It's like they're vexed that over 200 lives have been saved. They used to talk about being unpatriotic, but it's like they don't want the Dragon Gas deal to succeed either. They are the real unpatriotic ones. I mean, we are making strong moves ahead, and if we didn't have this bitter politics, really, the whole country should be celebrating.
Hey, Kirk, I think them don't have the slightest clue what is to be patriotic because everything that we attempted to fix in the country that was deteriorating, they would accuse us of being unpatriotic. But I don't think they have the slightest clue what is being patriotic. I mean, with just in about 5 months we in government and we have this drastic improvement with crime. People are getting water. I mean, we are fixing so many things. We see the interests of foreign business showing an interest in coming back to TNT. We've seen oil discovery that was never been discovered. We've seen the court ruling in that they, with the situation with Anna Ramogan and Joan Pantin, where we could not get a good ruling before the change of government. It seems like the court was purely oppressed. You've seen people wings. Their wings are being set free. They feel like they can breathe. They're speaking out. A lot of them who could not speak out under this Costa Nostra administration, you see them speaking out. So, I mean, some good things are happening, and we are working on a lot of things behind the scenes to bring economic development for various constituencies. So there's a lot of things in the making that's going to be people are going to see eventually. So definitely we have some drastic improvement taking place, and I'm telling you, within next year, at the same time, there's going to be a big turnaround.
Absolutely. And as our first budget, as we prepare for our first budget soon, then we'll finally be in full control because right now we're just working with the PNM budget. But when we get our budget in place, we can move full speed ahead as a 100% UNC government. And we've already made this achievement so far. I look forward to the next, not only 5 years, 20 years, 10 years, 20 years, 30 years. We will change this country. We will be the Singapore, the Dubai, the Emirates of the Caribbean, as we were always meant to be. We are fine. Once we take the PNM off our back and we have Kamla Prasad Bisets and the UNC and government, we're going to get there.
Definitely, we need a 15-year to get things set the way I see it. I estimated. Maybe I'm wrong, but at least I know we need at least 15 years to really set things in the way. But in this first five, I'm trying. I want to see us make, and I'm doing everything on my end to see us make enough headway to let the people understand where we at, what we about, and what we have said we are going to deliver. And I mean, speaking about the PNM budget, they can't even give account for most of the money that was spent under them. So I
That's
mean,
right.
I mean, so that's something that we have to really
Yeah,
open
yeah.
up and discuss
Because
also.
the central bank governor has finally given the Auditor General full access to the records because the previous central bank governor was blocking the Auditor General from looking into the finances. So yeah, so we're going to get to the bottom of all of that.
Yeah,
And
that's something we really had to dig into also. You know.
let me take a step back. As we were talking about development and long-term things, you were
Yeah.
mentioning 15 years and so forth. You know, since the independence movements of the 1950s and 60s, so we've had countries all around the world who escaped colonialism, and some have done very well for themselves, and some have not. At Trinidad and Tobago, really, we should have done very well for ourselves. We were richer than Greece in 1962. We were richer than Portugal and Spain. We had a higher GDP than Japan, than China. GDP per capita, that is. That's the size of the economy per person on a per person basis. So, we inherit, the PNM like to pretend we started from nothing in 1962. No, we had an excellent economy. We had a bright population with a vibrant culture, intelligent, with an international sugar industry, oil industry, railways that connected the countryside to the cities and so forth. And the PNM destroyed all of that. And though the country, when you look at the world and other countries, we see there's 13 countries. Okay, there was a study done around 2000. That's about 25. Well, I think 2008. So let's say about almost 20 years ago now, 15 years ago. Looking at this question, and they found that there were 13 countries that transformed this situation. There used to be poor countries. Singapore was poorer than us. They were poorer than us, and just how they skyrocketed, and that includes Malaysia and South Korea, who we were all richer than. Botswana in Africa. There are countries in every continent. Brazil is another one. There are countries in every continent, and some are big, some are small. Some have resources, some don't have resources. Some have communist government, some has capitalist government. So it's kind of like almost none of those things really matter because countries have transformed regardless of all that. Right? So what was it? And what they found is that each of these countries had a commitment to economic growth. And for a 25-year period, they grew at a minimum of 7% per year. So they were on that path. And so they were growing at that rate. And you need to do that for 25 years to totally transform. That's how Singapore transformed. If any of you are into investing and this type of thing, there's something called the Rule of 72. And that shows you at what interest rate does your money double. So what happens is when you're at a 7% growth rate for 25 years, your income has doubled every 10 years. Right? So that's what happens. It doubles every 10 years. So and when you do that, you make tremendous change. And so we have to make sure we get on that path. And that's what we're starting here. And so we're going to be at the beginning of that path. And when we reach the end, Trinidad and Tobago will be unrecognizable. And that's what we need to focus on.
You're absolutely correct there, Kirk. For the kind of revenue stream that we had back in the 70s coming up, I mean, we did not get value for money. I
Not
mean,
at all.
just imagine what the PNM did with this recent situation with the Auditor General. Could you imagine how many times before this was
Yeah.
done under Eric Williams' government? for the time that the 25 years that he was there.
Yeah,
I mean, lots
and
of
I'll
money
tell
not
you
accounted
something.
for.
If we want to go back in history, not only did Rowley government spend over $500 billion, and we got poorer. So we actually got 20% poorer under Rowley, even though he spent $500 billion. But during the first, let me tell you, during the first 30 years of the PNM, from 56 to 86, there was so much corruption, it was unbelievable. When the NAR came in government, some of your listeners and viewers would be too young to remember, but some of them may have lived through it. And you remember one of the major planks that they won on was PNM corruption. And one of the huge things was the Scott Drug Report. And as soon as they got in government, they laid it in the parliament. And then they also, that same year, they put together something called the Alexander Commission, headed by Alan Alexander. And the Alexander Commission, remember this, the Alexander Commission, they looked at all the corruption from 1956 to 1986 under the PNM. That included DC-9 scandal, the gas station racket, Mount Hope, the Twin Towers, the Hall of Justice, the Caroni Racing Complex, all the major corruption items under PNM for 30 years. Trinidad Tesoro, that's another one. And so they were going after that. The first major success they had was getting money from Trinidad Tesoro. They took that to court in the US and in Canada as well. In the US, the Wall Street Journal reported on the trial there with Tesoro and how they bribed the Trinidad minister and Prime Minister George Chambers. This is written in the Walls, I believe it's March 12, 1987, Wall Street Journal, about how the Tesoro Corporation got a high-priced blonde prostitute for George Chambers, and then he gave them tax breaks and legislation. I think that the prostitute cost $1,200 in those days, 1,200 US. If you could find that for me, Wall Street Journal, 12th of March, 1987, I would greatly appreciate that. Maybe you could get it at the New York Library for me. Right, the New York Public Library should have it. I really want that paper itself to show people. And in Scarborough in Toronto, John O'Halloran built these two towers there that the country got money back in. So that was the first major success. And they laid the paper in Parliament. And if you could find that debate on the Parliament website, 1990. You know what date that was? July 27th. You should read that debate. Eden Shan, Joseph Tony, all the ministers talking about the immense corruption under the PNM. But you know what happened on July 27th, 1990? While Joseph Tony was giving his remarks, his statements, the Muslimin came in, shot up the place. All the papers were scattered, burned, destroyed. A.N.R. Robinson in the Parliament said there were 20 volumes they had of the PNM corruption. And I went to look for that last year, and the Parliament said they have no record of any of that.
Isn't that amazing? And how
Yeah,
convenient. How
yeah,
convenient. We have to set aside a special investigative team to
that's
recap
right.
a lot of these things.
And,
We have a lot of
and
work
then
to do.
and what happened in 1992 is Manning shut down the Alexander Commission. And then in 1993, the Attorney General, Selwyn Richardson, who got all that Tesoro corruption and everything uncovered, he was murdered. He was murdered by a man on a bicycle, and that in his driveway at home. And that assassination was never, ever, ever solved.
Well,
That,
it was recently said by one of the former prime ministers, "Don't go against the Cosa Nostra," right?
yeah, yeah,
He said it was detrimental to go against the Cosa Nostra. And we have
That's right.
seen this kind of syndicated, in crime syndicate kind of operating within our infrastructure. Look what happened with the Andrea Barrett case. Andrea mistakenly discovered something that didn't look right, and she thought she was doing the right thing, and it cost her life. And there are so
Yeah.
many other incidents.
Yeah. So, you know, with that blight gone from our country, we were blessed. We were blessed in 1962. We were a blessed country, and they really took us down to become one of the most murderous countries in the world. We have one of the worst performing economies in the world in CARICOM. Nobody else in CARICOM has this foreign exchange crisis. Only we do, and we're an oil producer. It's crazy. It's crazy. But now that we've gotten rid of them, we're bringing down crime as never before in our history. We're going to turn at Exxon is coming back after 25 years away. The Dragon deal is coming back. The U.S. is going to grant a new OFAC license. Things are looking up. Things are looking up.
Yeah, and they're trying to claim fame to that deal. Like them put something together.
Yeah. Well, I mean, okay, they did some work. We won't deny that, but they could not close it. They were conga lining with Maduro, um,
Well,
insulting
well,
Trump.
I mean, you
Uh,
understand why they couldn't close it, right? Basically, right?
yes,
What's going on?
they could not close it, and we closed it. So we're closing it. We are closing it.
But we're not only closing that crooked, like you see, the interest from the oil industry, like Exxon and these various companies, their motivation is very much stimulated working with our government. It is
That's
very
right.
clear that Mrs. Bisesa is engaged in the interests of foreign investment. We saw
Correct.
that in the
Correct.
2010 period. We saw that in the 95 period with Mr. Basu Pande, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean,
I mean,
something must tell you about the P&M in
yeah,
comparison to
yeah,
us.
exactly. She won the People's Choice Award for the Caribbean global leader, for the global leader of the
Isn't
Caribbean.
that amazing?
Over, yeah,
Amazing
not
and
over Mia
surprising, right?
Motley, over Ralph Gonzalez, over Usain Bolt, over Vibes Cartel, over all kind of people. She
The
won it.
most
You
the
know.
most loved prime minister when she won the first time. I mean, let me tell you something. The things that happen here in New York with people of all different Caribbean nationalities wanting to come on board and assist us because of how they felt connected to Mrs. Bisesa. And
Yeah,
you will see some of that reigniting again. Even though a lot of them didn't get a chance to, but this time around, she's working better with the diaspora, and there's going to be more things happening. That we're going to bridge that connection because
yeah. And now we have the citizenship law where grandchildren could come to Trinidad and Tobago as well if they have Trinidad and Tobago grandparents. So we're opening ourselves because I think I might have told you this last time, but when you look at historically up to 1962, every year Trinidad had more people coming into Trinidad than leaving. And then from 1962, more people left Trinidad every year than were coming in, except for I think a number of years around the late 90s during
yeah, I do
Pandey
not like the
government.
interview with UNC. Yeah, pull it back a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So so I mean, when we start to grow and thrive again as we did before, more people will want to come here than leave. And so we want to make sure people with real connections and roots uh, come here too, because we can and will make Trinidad a paradise again.
Just don't meet the passengers for 940. They're walking into the lobby.
I think there's some interference here. All right. Okay. Well. So that's my message for today. So I will leave you right now. I think there's some technical issues, and I look forward to speaking to you soon.
Yeah,
Take care. Bye.
we could connect on tomorrow night. I have something going on tomorrow night if you have some time. But
Okay.
definitely, we are making some headways, and I thank you for taking the time for joining us and giving us an update. The channel is open to all our people. I just want you to kind of reiterate that out there that at the small moment anybody could come and give their statement, their broadcast of what's going on, because we need to stay on top with the media part of things, because it's obvious that the print media is not working along with us and not broadcasting or promoting the things that we're doing, and they're doing everything to kind of suffocate that. We expect that, but this channel is here in a moment's notice to go live with our issues. So there's a couple things that I'm working on, and I will talk to you more off the air about that. But thank you, Kirk, for taking the time to join us,
All right.
and I hope to have you back here soon.
Yeah. Okay. Take care. Bye.